Gumpy,
We got
Gumpy told
big
me.
FA Cup match Friday.
Does that count? Does FA Cup count, Matt? That counts?
Yeah, I mean, it's against Spurs. It's going to be
like the NBA
a
Cup.
good match.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough match. Yeah, it's like the NBA has started to Mark Cuban is very big on European football, and he was very big on trying to implement some of the things from the academy to some of the in-season tournaments, and the FA Cup is somewhat roughly what they modeled that in-season tournament after.
Okay, so Gumpy, is this like the MLS Cup where the games don't count towards your standing? Because remember, Methy came over to America. They win 7-8 straight games.
Yep.
And still in last in the MLS, not going to make the playoffs. Well, why don't we count the games that millions of people watch into the whole thing? Is that what the FA Cup is? Like, we need to win these games for Burnley. It helps us to get out of that one particular area?
No, this doesn't affect the standings. This is the
Who cares
longest
about these
running
games,
cup
JJ?
in history of soccer.
So it doesn't mean anything.
This means nothing,
This is
JJ.
England.
It's the
This is the
oldest
FA
trophy
Cup.
in-
This is part of who we are.
It means nothing.
Harry Redknapp.
If you want to win the treble,
It
you're
doesn't
going to
have
want to
any
win the
effect,
FA Cup.
Yeah, Dave. Can you get relegated or not, though? That's all that matters, right? If you get to bump up to the big guys, or you get sent
No,
down,
you win
does that have
this,
any
you get
effect on
more
that?
money for the club as well.
Oh.
Yeah, the FA Cup is every single soccer team in the entire country. So, like, your local little team can work their way all the way up to
Don't
play
lose to
against the
them.
big dogs.
Ted
That
Lasso,
could be
if
embarrassing.
you remember.
That could be tough.
Yeah, don't lose to them, JJ. Burnley, you
Well,
know.
we're playing Tottenham. We're playing Tottenham. It's
Oh
two big
my
dogs.
God, you're going to
Spurs are a
lose
good
by
squad.
80.
Spurs are a good
They don't
squad.
score 80 goals in soccer.
They're missing some
might.
players. They've been struggling a little bit.
The Spurs?
Hey, let's go.
Son is gone. He's on. I think he's on international duty, or he's back in Korea. So
Military?
he's a
No,
phenomenal
it's the,
player. So
AFCON and Asia Cup. They
What?
go on.
They want to
during-
put up the pink slips too with us with Concava?
They
No,
go.
they
They go
don't.
during the season, so players do lose like some of their best players during the actual season.
Anyway, soccer's our sport now. You should think about maybe bringing Burnley to the MLS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they, it'd be a lot of travel. I assume you can afford it. And Tyler from Duke Perfect.
Yeah, of course.
we're working on bringing him over to America for a little preseason action. We're working on that.
Oh, what are you going to have him play on? Grass, obviously? Maybe the Rose Bowl. You love the grass. I love the grass.
Rose Bowl should be the national championship site every year.
Easy.
Okay, Kirk Herbstreit
Easy.
just said that. You agree with that? Now, everybody's
100%.
Everybody's going to say, well, you Big Ten guys, obviously you hold the Rose Bowl in such high regard. I just heard Stephen A. Smith yesterday say they should play the Rose Bowl in SoFi.
Oh.
Okay, that was what Stephen A. said yesterday. And
He did not say that.
Yes,
he
he
not
did.
say that.
Because of, strictly because of traffic.
Yeah, because it's impossible to get in and out of there, is what he was saying, which is very real after we
loud.
experience it.
Yeah.
But that field, that stadium, the vibe, the temperature, it did feel
Immaculate.
big. You know, it felt big. You agree with that. You and Kirk Herbstreit both very loud right now.
1,000%. I mean, there is something about that place, about the stadium, about the sunset, about the mountains, the atmosphere, the vibe. Like, the game feels significantly bigger in that environment. Even the game that played right after it, the same significance to go to the national championship, phenomenal atmosphere, phenomenal game. The Superdome is an unbelievable place, and I know it was loud as hell in there. But it just doesn't feel the same when you're watching it. Like, when you are watching the Rose Bowl, you remember that Vince Young game against the USC. You remember all those big moments. There's just something special about that place. And I think holding the national championship game there every single year would be very, very fitting for a game that is losing a lot of its, history and tradition in college football. Let's hold on to one thing.
Yeah, keeping the Rose as the it would remain.
The granddad
Or
involved.
grandmommy,
Yeah.
obviously 2023.
Right. Sure.
There's some matriarch families that run through the grandma.
Not in America, but
you know what I mean? What's that? Nana?
Nona.
Nona?
Grand
It's
Nona.
2024. It's 2024.
Yeah, and we got families.
Oh, jeez, you did that earlier. I thought you were high.
Yep.
Well, I am. So that could potentially
Both
be
are.
the case as well. Go ahead, AJ.
JJ, so Aaron said some things yesterday
CBD.
that went under the radar for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he talked about that turf out there in the grass at the Rose Bowl. He mentioned the cleats that he feels like players should be wearing. Do you have any input on that, on what you think? Like, should guys be – so you'd say, hey, no, you need to be wearing 7-stud screw-ins on this certain field. And what did you kind of do when you were playing? Did you change depending on the surface?
Yes, I will say that watching this game on TV and seeing the turf kind of come up a little bit, that did not match my experience. The grass that I played on there, as I stated,
Oh, no.
was hands down the best I've ever seen, I've ever played on. I mean, I literally got down on my hands before the game and was like feeling it because it was that incredible. Colt McCoy, I was talking to him about it the other day. He's played in a couple of Rose Bowls, and he concurred with me that is the best. But when it comes to cleats, it is an extremely important discussion because depending on your position, depending on what you're required to do, there's very, very different feelings from a 7-stud to a regular molded cleat to a turf hog that some of the old linemen like to wear. The old linemen like turf hogs because you don't want to get your feet caught into the ground. So they, if you get into a bad situation, they can slip out and slide from under you. As a pass rusher, I like the molded, a little bit shorter ones because I want that speed. You want that ability to turn the corner and gain the edge. When you switch to a 7-stud, which for people that don't know, it's a little bit longer. It's those screw-in cleats that you can definitely get better grip, but you do sacrifice a little bit of that speed. It takes you a little bit longer to get the cleat out of the ground as you're trying to turn a corner or as you're trying to accelerate. So I tried to hold on to the moldeds as long as I possibly could. The only time I ever wore a 7-stud was if we were in a truly, truly bad situation. Jacksonville Stadium sometimes turns to sand a little bit. That field gets a little sandy. So that one, sometimes you would, or if you're in a really rainy
Chicago was
situation.
8 inches long.
Yeah, Chicago is crazy.
So nice.
Pittsburgh used to be just like spray painted dirt.
They've changed that since then, but yeah.
Of course. Everything's better now.
Love that.
It makes you Rudolph.
2024.
Yeah, everything.
Well, they play a college football game on a Saturday night, and then they'll play a Steelers game on Sunday. Like that's wild, man.
Even
better, it's $1 billion business.
Even better, high school WPIAL championships. Put those on Friday.
Yeah, that school needs to get a stadium, okay? Get off of our field.
Who's that?
Pitt.
All right.
Tony. Okay.
I mean, take a step.
Wow.
I have no
Yeah,
allegiances to that school. I mean, get off the field.
Where do the Dukes play?
Dukes play Arthur J. Rooney Stadium.
They play in some parking lot of the street. Yeah.
It is a parking lot. It's right above the prison, actually, downtown. And they put an air bubble over around it in the winter, and every local soccer team basically plays in there.
That's
as well.
sweet.
It's a beautiful field.
The Dukes give back to the community in a big way.
Really is the Harvard of Pittsburgh.
If it had more grass, it's all cement up there because it's hard to grow grass on the jail's roof, which is where Duke.
Also, don't put that on this. We don't.
It's right on top of the prison. Right. I mean, literally. Right on top of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the prisoners on top floor, they actually are able to hear some of the lessons that are being taught.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, at Duquesne.
That's where they should play the Rose Bowl.
Guys and girls, guys, it's all guys, Joe, I guess.
cliff.
I wanted to be equal there, but it is a male prison, I think.
Okay.
They actually walk away with doctorate degrees.
Yeah, honorary degree after you finish your stint.
Because Duquesne's right there on top.
Bingo.
Learn so much.
Thank you for doing that, Duquesne.
Love you, Duquesne.
Welcome, everyone. Go Dukes.
You said something about the Rose Bowl grass not being good from watching on TV. Is that what you said? Because the boys ate it.
Yeah,
They
so
actually
good.
ate it. They said it was good. There was a lot of slipping, though. Not normal. That's what you were kind of saying?
Did appear to be some slippage. Did appear to be coming up a little bit. You guys were there. I mean, what was it like?
It was slippy out there. I did see and feel a little slippiness. I ran actually right next to the Alabama football team as they were going into overtime, right next to Coach Saban, and my boots were slipping a little bit. It is a little slippy out here.
I have a question because you guys were there, obviously, for the Rose Bowl being at the exact time slot that it is so that we get the perfect sunset, we get the views.
Yeah.
Can't change that.
San Gabriel's,
Yeah.
Oh,
Gorgeous.
Unbelievable. But
Stealth
it
bomb.
does push the next game way back. I mean, I'm on Mountain Time, and it was still late when that game ended. East Coast time has to be brutal. Would you rather have the other game first, or are you okay with it being so late?
I want to see San Gabriel's dancing.
Yep.
Yes, that I didn't. The question was, would you rather put the other game before or after the Rose Bowl? Leave the Rose Bowl where it is.
I won't see San Gabriel's dancing.
Something in your ears?
I don't care what happened. You know what I mean? What do we even
Need the cotton candy guy.
Need it.
Yeah, what do you want the game to kick
The
off at 10
sky
a.m.?
isn't changing.
Yeah, all right.
The Rose Bowl stays.
Yeah, make the sugar.
Okay.
Make the sugar at 1 p.m. start.
The other one got it. Okay.
Before.
All right. Kickoff 10 a.m. All right.
that?
Kickoff 10 a.m. College football playoff. Once again, though, you make it the national championship, it's on its own day.
Yeah.
Then that San Gabriel's
Yeah, it
dance.
doesn't matter.
It's a full. It's got its own time slot.
They could do the
You
championship Sunday.
get college football. You got you guys with Kirk and the whole crew leading up to it, talking about the Lanks. You got the whole thing leading right up to it. It'd be beautiful.
What?
The naysayers, let them all know. Let them all know.
JJ, I don't know if
That segment had me absolutely rolling.
Yeah.
I saw that thing live. I was up and I was watching it, man, and I was dying, and I was just hoping that there were enough people picking up on that at the moment because it was one of the best segments of television I've seen.
So once again, that's like locker room. Like that's like I think we need more of it, man. We need I think if everybody really met each other and had an opportunity to listen to each other, how they laugh, how they view things, how they shit talk things, and then just have a little bit of an understanding where people who aren't exactly in your direct circle are coming from and why they're doing that, which is what a football locker room is because you're forced to be around each other. Mm-hmm. You got that shirt on right now. That's like a perfect depiction of like what football and what the locker room does. And I think everybody gets to see it and remember the Titans, but it's like, I don't want to say we're fighting the same wars today that they fought on these fields back
on this hallowed ground.
One of the greatest speeches of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Denzel Washington. Need more of those speeches from him. But it's like as it's happening, me, Joey Galloway, Desmond Howard, and Herbie, obviously been in a locker room. Like I'm sitting there, like I don't know if Reese. And when he said,
I was so confused because I didn't know what it meant, and then he started to say it, and I started to figure it out, and then I was like, man, I don't know if that's the phrase. And then when you said it, I absolutely lost.
JJ, I was just like thanking God for I like Reese.
Yeah,
I like Reese a lot. Man, I saw him leading right to I saw him just driving himself right off a cliff.
Yeah, what are you doing?
As I'm sitting there, I'm like, we're at the Rose Bowl, And he's like,
hang on.
Brand Lank, which stands for, and I'm like,
oh, Reese.
This is going to be interesting.
He's going right now. How's he going to do this? Is he going to go, no, and then he's going to make me say it?
Yeah.
In my head?
Pat, go ahead.
Like in my head, I was like, what are we? So then whenever he dropped, the sigh of relief from my body, I mean, I felt like I had an anxiety ball, like inside of it for him, just like a discomfort. And then when he says naysayers, it's like, oh my God.
Thank God.
I almost felt like, that's why I was like, whoa. Interrupted him completely just because of how much I was going through next to him. And then obviously, Joey and Dez reacted the way.
Oh, man.
Joey, that was perfect. Camera crew knowing to pan out, get that full shot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To see everybody
Zoom out,
reaction was perfect.
Joey having a paper towel.
Yeah.
What a scene. Lucky to be there. But once again, that's football, baby. Hey, that's literally what football does.
Real life.
Yeah. Lucky to be a part of it. But it is, I'm very thankful Reese is still a host.
Yeah.
And nobody is mad about it.
Right.
Because I thought there was a time where we just lost a good guy.
Good run.
We just lost a good guy out there. Conman has a question for you, JJ.
Yeah, JJ, heading into week 18, obviously there are some teams, biggest game of the year gearing up. What's the mindset for some of those, and how many games like that did you play in? And then on the opposite side of that, right now, should I be expecting a lot of, players of the Patriots or the Cardinals to be like packing their bags, having everything ready so that when they come home from their game on Sunday, they can just head right to the airport and go to wherever vacation they've been planning for the last couple months?
Yeah, I do think you have a little bit of both there. On the other side, there's some games this weekend that are literally playoff games. Like you win it and you're in, you lose and you're potentially out. So it's fascinating from that standpoint where it is a true playoff atmosphere. You are preparing as hard as you could possibly prepare. The hype, the buildup is all very real. Unfortunately, I've also been on the flip side of that where there is literally nothing to play for, and it is pure pride, and it is pure just going out there and trying to play the best you can. Absolutely, there are some guys with the keys in the ignition of the car ready to go. They have their lockers packed up. Everything is all set. They have their plane tickets booked. Everything is ready to go out the door. But there's still, at the end of the day, you are still a competitor. At the end of the day, you are still at the core an athlete, somebody who wants to go out there and win. I think Vrabel had obviously the great press conference this week. Like, when you step onto a football field, you go across those white lines. It doesn't matter what the record is. You want to put on a good performance. You want to win. You guys have talked about it a little bit. There's incentives that guys are playing for. There's different things. So at the end of the day, you still want to go out there and you want to win football games. Fascinated to see what some of the teams that have already locked up first place are going to do, like the Ravens, obviously. Lamar, is he going to sit? Are you going to sit more of your guys? That's always a fascinating discussion and conversation. to see how teams handle that and then to see how it pans out for them.
Patrick Mahomes will be resting. Blaine Gabbert will be playing for the Kansas City Chiefs as they've locked in the number 3 seed.
Joe Flacco's also sitting out.
Joe Flacco's resting, going back to the couch for a night.
Smart.
Kind of keep that perspective and the hunger alive for Joey Flack. What a story he has become. You mentioned something there about Week 18 and incentives, and I think Flack's got a few. D-Bud has a question for you.
Chris Jones might too. Stone Cold Jones.
$1.5 million.
Yeah, that's a big one. You have any experience with that, JJ? Week 17, week 18, out there chasing in incentives, probably a couple million on the line?
I actually had a funny situation. So I didn't in my second contract, but the one here in Arizona, I did have like a number of sacks gets you this or that. But I was under the impression that it was I had to do something in year 1 to get year 2's incentives to trigger. Something like that. So I assumed I didn't have any incentives in my last year. So I was just going out there and playing, and I got 12 and a half sacks, and my agent was like, "Congrats, man. That's like, I think it was either 1 or 2 million." And he was like, "Congrats, dude. You locked that up." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, you hit your incentive. And I was like, no, I didn't get it. I didn't lock in the last year. He's like, no, you absolutely got it. Congratulations. You got $2 million. I was like, oh, my God, this is awesome.
What a day. What a day.
It was such a nice little treat.
How about people
I do have some experience.
People find $20 in their jeans after it comes out of the washer. I got $20. This guy comes off the field. You just got $2 million.
Excuse me.
Whoa. Me? Okay.
I have one on the other side.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Maybe you should have used some of that.
He, early in his career. Oh, no.
Get back.
All
Right,
we're back. All right, Connor Barwin, early in his career, he apparently had a playing time incentive where it was like the percentage of snaps. Mm-hmm. And he got taken out of the game 2 snaps shy of it, but he didn't, like, I guess he didn't know. Nobody knew. The coach didn't know. Missed out on 1.2. They knew. Out on 1.2 for 2 snaps.
Hey, you said that nobody knew? They knew.
I can't remember the story exactly, so I don't want to tell it wrong, especially because I don't want.
They should have given it.
But the D-line coach, Bill Kolar, is my D-line coach for a long time, one of my best friends, and to this day, he talks about how sick he feels about it because I truly believe he didn't know.
Oh, got it. But nobody told Connor either on his way out. You know, he just played 2 more plays.
D-line coach didn't know. I trust D-line.
Yeah, head coach, though, definitely.
Agent?
GM, definitely having conversation with head coach.
Connor Barwin still in the front office, Philly?
Yeah, he does. He still does stuff up there. He does a lot of charitable stuff. He also is a partial owner of an Italian basketball team.
Roma?
Hey, he's freak athlete, right, Connor?
Yeah, he I believe he played a little hoops at Cincinnati also on top of football. Yeah.
Absolute dog. I'm a huge fan of Connor Barwin, old Big East.
Oh, yeah, he was a freak show. Dog.
He was. And he had that Max Crosby-like energy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did.
You know, it just never, ever stopped. I'm happy we're having a full-on conversation about it. Hey, way to go, guys. Way to go, Connor. You did it, pal. Connor has a question for you, JJ.
Yeah, JJ, another situation that's kind of come to the end, if you will, hopefully for, himself, not for us. David Tepper, he had a little bit of a meltdown, you could say, at the Jags game. Have you ever seen something along those lines? And also, what do you do if you're a player and maybe, they have to fine you for doing something, and David Tepper's the one telling you, hey, you can't.
Hold on, though. I just saw something. Who's wearing the crowns in there?
Crowns?
You see the crowns?
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple crowned. Look in the front row here.
I think it's New Year's stuff. Isn't that New Year's stuff?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
Crown.
Or maybe they just want a pageant.
Maybe. Congratulations.
Maybe they're Royals. Maybe
it just came from Burger King.
That could have been it, too.
Maybe Tepper.
Have it your way. I don't know if those are Burger King crowns.
Could be.
Those look like legit. Those look like real crowns.
What if Tepper dubs one person every single time he's in the suite like, hey,
you're the queen.
You're the queen today.
I'm the king. Everybody knows that. Wait,
Charlotte is the Queen City, so it would make sense.
Playing in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but take a queen down there.
With him. Yeah, you're bringing the Queen City with you.
Bringing the Queen City, too.
Oh.
But anyways, back to the question. Fascinating situation. Because on one hand, as a pure fan of the sport, fan of entertainment, fan of the fact that this is all an entertainment business, wildly entertaining. I mean, that is like It's dramatic. It's entertaining. Guys showing some passion, showing some fire, showing some energy. I like that. But on the flip side of that, I also know what would happen if a fan did that, or if a player did something similar, like your fans getting kicked out, probably never let back in the stadium. Player definitely getting fined, possibly worse.
Suspended.
So he got fined. He got fined. I think it was the equivalent of about 35 cents for anybody else. But I mean, you can't say, like, guys, just because he's worth $20 billion, what? So you want to fine him $1 billion? Like, you can't do that, because in the NFL, you got to go to a percentage-based fine system on players. And if I got a roughing the passer penalty, that would really hurt. So I don't want that. But I don't know. When I
JJ's like, you tell me. They're fining Jalen Warren $49,000 for blocking a guy in the chest coming through the A gap, and obviously we combated that with a couple other plays as well. $300,000. So you're saying 6 blocks?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it like that.
You're saying 6 blocks?
6 blocks
is okay for an owner to toss. Interesting. Interesting move here.
I gotta think. I'm not thinking twice about tossing another drink if it's only that. I mean, I might just toss another one out there.
What if he does do the Stone Cold Steve Austin cheers to himself, and he's like, yeah, whoa. Next game picks him up again. We're having a $2 million celebration. Boom, bang.
Just holds up a picture of the check and just snaps the check right at the screen.
Roger has a briefcase. So we got cups. He's opening the briefcase with Roger Goodell's face on some of the money. He say, take that, Raj. Is that what you want, Raj? This guy is a character, though, to your point. He speaks at
in reading his statement. There wasn't really an apology in there, but it was a statement. I would love to know what the person said. Go ahead.
I am deeply passionate about this team and regret my behavior on Sunday. I should have let NFL stadium security handle any issues that arose. I respect the NFL's code of conduct and accept the league's discipline for my behavior. We're moving on.
I would like to point out I should have let NFL stadium security handle any issues that arose. That is him saying somebody said some crazy shit to me. I responded appropriately. So I want to know what the hell that person said.
That would be great to hear the other end of the story. I'm sure there has to be cameras somewhere that'll catch the audio. We'll find it. Or AI will just create it.
Yep.
And then we'll never actually know what the truth is.
Or you just make up a story and then let people run with it. And then you go back and retract it later and say, sorry, that actually wasn't a real story. But then everybody already believes it's a real story. So that's how most of the world works.
On plenty of Texans teams where you guys had to go down to the third string quarterback and end up making the playoffs in those situations, like, it feels like just a completely different team than 2 weeks ago now that Mason's starting. What are your thoughts just in general on that whole situation?
It is a fascinating situation, especially obviously as Kenny gets healthier and healthier. It's just from a fan perspective, it's fun. It's fascinating to watch because you start to think about it. But I mean, I don't. When the way Mason's played the last 2 weeks, the way the offense has kind of gone out there and performed the last 2 weeks, I don't blame them whatsoever. You got to ride that hot hand and see where it takes you here. I mean, they truly have put up a couple great performances. I think I saw their offensive output last week was the best since like 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, before back.
You got it. Yeah, so you got to keep rolling with that, and just it does seem to be a little more loose, a little more free, especially than the last couple weeks. So it's fun to watch. I mean, as a fan, obviously I watch every Steelers game because of TJ, and to see them putting up points and getting up into the 30s is
fun.
Is enjoyable. Yeah.
Watch George Pickens do George Pickens stuff as opposed to George Pickens interviews being the topic of conversation about George Pickens. That's cool. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I do feel like it is. You also have to put yourself in Kenny's shoes there and think like, that old adage, like some coaches have it, some coaches don't, where they say, a guy can't lose his job to injury. Not saying that he lost his job for good by any stretch. They obviously have conversations this offseason there, but like Kenny's done everything right. Kenny's done everything right by all accounts. Is an unbelievable guy, unbelievable teammate and everything. So you put yourself in his shoes, it does have to be a little bit tough to sit there and not be able to go out there and perform and do the things you want to do. But as like I said, if I'm Tomlin and I'm sitting in that room, you just got to ride.
Sorry about it. I think is what they're saying to Kenny. And Mason Rudolph, is thanking his Lord and Savior every single day for another opportunity. Legitimately. Think about those couple years for Mason Rudolph when people in Pittsburgh used to get upset when his name was mentioned to play football for the Pittsburgh Steelers because of how bad he was at the beginning of his career for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then obviously the Miles situation takes place on very public primetime game. Then there's off-season stories about him, potentially dating a celebrity and people in Pittsburgh after the bad football and what they have heard. And then that guy is phenomenal. Absolutely good at football. And Mason Rudolph's putting it out there to him and not scared of it, which is awesome with the new offensive coordinator. And that is a big-time play for them that was kind of profiled by the inside the NFL mic'd up situation where Mike Tomlin told him, let's do it. And Bill Hillgrove, Pittsburgh Steelers commentator, was like, 99% chance of running a ball there, and they throw it instead, sounding like Myron Cope. It feels like a much funner atmosphere. It feels good. So whenever Kenny has any negativity, it's hard not to just be like, Kenny, life's good right now. This is what everybody's working for. But personally, it has to be pretty difficult for him. We love you, Kenny. We do.
Keep going, Kenny.
Look, Kenny.
Absolutely.
And welcome back, Mason.
Yeah.
Good for you. He had some tough days.
No face mask.
Tough. Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
so many memes. So many things said about him.
Oh, jeez. The worst things, too. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Not as bad as things that were said yesterday,
Right. Well, you never know. We might have to check the tape.
He stunk then. With new information becomes new opinions.
he doesn't stink anymore.
He doesn't stink anymore.
Guy's pretty good.
Currently playing really good.
Is he one of the top in the league right
Do
now?
I need to be honest or do I need to, not be honest?
Yeah. Future of the team.
You tell me, cowboy.
I like being honest.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people would say that to watch the show. You have that maybe voice thing that you do when you just
I don't know.
blatantly lie.
I don't know if that's being dishonest.
Disingenuous for sure.
There it is.
Tone. Today,
Well, I'm not
today,
the most
who's
disingenuous
the Steelers
person.
starting quarterback opening day next year?
Probably
Right now.
Probably no one on the roster.
Well, what about Mason Rudolph? What do we even do?
Well, who is it then?
Michael Penix.
Russell Wilson.
Kirk Cousins.
All great options. Joey Flacco.
Joe Flacco should complete the division.
Maybe Joe Flacco. I mean, you tell me, JJ.
Just round circle the whole division. That
Yeah.
would be incredible.
Who do you think, JJ? Who do you think's quarterback for the Steelers?
I truly don't know. I'm fascinated.
I don't know
by it.
either.
Like
Zach Wilson.
these are the types of things that these are the type of discussions and things that like make you happy that you don't have to make the decisions. But I do know that if I'm in a GM chair and I'm looking at the quarterback position in the National Football League, I do tend to look for the youngest, cheapest option in hopes that I can build a contender around that, as opposed to a guy that's getting close to a second contract, because no matter what, that second quarterback contract in the NFL is a big, big, big number. And unless you are 100% sure you have your guy and you know he's going to be your guy, that number will cripple you if you give it to the wrong guy.
And also, you can find your guy by building up a great team around him. If you spend so much money whenever you still don't know if the person's the guy, well, the team's never going to be able to give you an answer on if you know if the guy's a guy, because they're probably going to be crop because you can't afford anybody. You got to leverage and hemorrhage cash from one particular part of your team to pay this other part. And this part better be able to win games by themselves then, because this whole part is being left behind. It's a tough decision to make. And there's two different models, There's two different models. You're going to pay a guy, and that guy's going to be able to carry your team and make bad players good and be able to win games alongside the coaching and scheming and everything like that. Or you're going to build a team, and you're going to need somebody to outperform their actual value, like what Brock Purdy's doing, like what Jared Goff did at LA, like what Russell Wilson did whenever he was at Seattle with the Legion of Boom and everything that was around him whenever they were having their success. There's numerous accounts of that happening. It's just, can you pull the trigger on that or not whenever you're due to pay somebody and decide to your fan base, we're going with a question mark next year. That is the tough decision to make at the time, especially in April or May, when those are the only headlines that are really coming out of anywhere.
If I were a betting man, though, and I am, and I know the Steelers organization, Kenny will be the starter week 1 next year. Connor said it many times. We are just 1 year behind the Patriots right now. So this is year 3 for Mac. They gave him 1 more year. Didn't work out. We'll see how it goes next year for Steelers.
What are you guys doing at quarterback next year?
I mean, I don't care, because all I know is Joe freaking Alt is going to be blocking for him, and that's all that matters.
Ty has a question for you, JJ.
Yeah, JJ, let's stay in that division. A couple weeks ago, you were talking about Lamar and how basically every GM in the NFL who came out and said, hey, we don't even want to start this conversation about him coming here was a moron. You were absolutely right. they trounced the Dolphins last week. But what do you think about like the line has moved towards the Steelers because everyone assumes that the Ravens, having already clinched, are going to just bench a bunch of guys? Is the whole conversation around like the potentially getting 2, almost 3 weeks off going into the playoffs and like starting that first playoff game with a bunch of rust and maybe putting yourselves in a bad position, is that all bullshit? Or like, how do you feel about like if you were in that position, would you want that extra week's rest or extra couple weeks rest going into the playoffs?
I do wish I had experience in this category. I do wish that I was able to give you a firsthand experience of it, but I don't. So I look at it from other people's perspectives, and I try and study situations from the past. And one of the things I look back on is all the Brady years and the years that they locked it up early. And I believe that Tom played. I believe. I didn't actually go back and look at it because that's a lot of research, and I'm just a guy.
Oh, okay. So we're going to put more misinformation out. Thanks, JJ. There's the breaking news.
But also on the flip side of that, like I heard Aaron talking about it yesterday, and he's absolutely right that you're in a no-win situation as a coach there because you put your guys out there because you don't want rust, and then one of your guys get hurt and people call you a moron. You don't put your guys out there and they're rusty in the first playoff game. Now you're a moron for not playing them. It's such a gamble there, and I think if you're on the conservative side of things, you have to sit them out just because then you're taking away any ounce of risk whatsoever. The Ravens, I believe, 2 years ago didn't play them in the last game and then struggled in the playoffs. So does that weigh in their mind at all? I don't know. I would personally, if it's up to me, with how injuries and everything, I mean, you look at Bradley Chubb, you look at some of these situations late in games, like I'd rest them. I'd rest them, let them rest, have some hard practices, make sure that they're staying in shape, but I rest them.
Well, it's 90% luck, 20% skill. 55%
concentration,
will.
5% pleasure, 50% pain.
Yep.
And 100% reason to remember the name.
Oh, hell yeah. I just felt like we just weren't into a movie right now.
I got chills.
You see? Oh, me too.
I got chills.
Huh? GBs, dude.
Wow.
Goosebumps.
Yep, that's right.
Wow. Holy.
Wow.
You're made already, and it's only third.
What a song. What a song.
Attitude does reflect leadership, Captain.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Boom.
You're damn right. You put a little slow motion behind that as that song was being sung.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe sing it again, and then you and AJ can do some slow motion stuff.
Gotta love it when your whole life is documented, man. You definitely make some mistakes.
We're talking about that before the show.
Hey, did you hear that about? I don't like to, talk too much drama, but friend of the program, I think he would say the same. Travis Kelce's people came out. Have you heard about this? And they're like a little bit worried about overexposure right now. And now, JJ, you had a run. Hey, you had a run where you were on everything, and then you just disappeared from that. Was that a conscious decision that you had to make, or like?
Yeah.
Real
no,
life
I mean, I definitely had a time of overexposure. There's no doubt, and there's no handbook for it. There's no nobody can, like, as you're coming up and coming out of college and going into the NFL and making that transition. Nobody hands you a book and says, "Hey, you're going to be rich and famous. Here's what you do." Like, here's how. Like, for me, especially as a defensive lineman and defensive guy in general, there weren't a lot of defensive guys getting national commercials. There weren't a lot of defensive guys getting some of the opportunities that I had. So we were kind of navigating these waters and trying to figure it out. And I mean, people are throwing absurd amounts of money at you for commercial opportunities, for endorsements, for things. And you've never experienced it all before. And you're a small town kid from Wisconsin. Like, I'm literally looking at these numbers and I'm thinking about my buddy back home who's a plumber. And I'm like, that guy would work 10 years for this number. Why would I not do it for this 2 hour commercial?
I'm JJ.
Yeah.
Like, so I go out there and I do all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you're on, NFL season comes around and there's 16 commercials with you on them. And people are like, I'm so sick of this guy. And that was kind of when Twitter was still a little bit early. It was still coming around. So I'm reading everything. And now all of a sudden people are like, I'm sick of this guy. I want him off. And I don't know how to emotionally and properly handle that. So I'm starting to figure out, like, oh man, the world hates me. Like, they don't like me. So I got to back this down. And then obviously we had a whole thing with, Big Cat and Barstool and those guys which again, I will always say part of that is absolutely justified. Like, I was I was a little bit too Captain America. I was a little bit too like try and be perfect and try and do everything exactly the right way. And I did need to be checked a little bit on that. And I do appreciate that. Did it maybe go a little bit too far? Maybe. But I consciously brought it back. I consciously reeled it back and said, like, okay, I gotta reanalyze this. I gotta refigure all this out. And just, it all comes down to being natural, being authentic, being real, being who you are. And sometimes it's very hard to do that because you are more vulnerable that way. And you also don't realize, like, everybody knows you think about yourself more than anybody else in the entire world thinks about you. So I always like, these people are thinking about this, these people are thinking about that. But in reality, nobody cares, man. And there was just a time where a lot of people did care and they made their thoughts very clear and very real. And so it was a learning experience for me, and I'm going to make a lot more mistakes in the future. But yes, overexposure and putting yourself out there can certainly make yourself vulnerable. But as long as you're being real and being who you are, let's be honest, 99.99% of the people ain't turned down those checks, ain't turned down those endorsements, ain't turned down those opportunities.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Hey, JJ, that was awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was really cool. Thank you for doing that, especially as we kind of go off the air on this glorious Trenches Wednesday. We'll continue on YouTube and ESPN Plus. That was a phenomenal answer.
Mm-hmm.
We're dancing with being OD'd on overexposure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're flying too close to the sun right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Get
Way
burned
too close. Yeah, every single. Yeah. One to dial it back.
People love a success story. Like the thing I've learned, I mean, I follow it with other athletes, with everybody. People love a success story, but then there comes a point where they love to see it crash.
That's right.
And then they love a comeback story also.
Ah.
Damn.
I mean, not a
So
bad end.
close.
Not a bad.
I tried. I heard it. I couldn't time it up right.
I think you did kind of though. Like
It was in.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, that's perfect.
love to
then.
see it crash,
Yeah.
and then there's music, and then it's
Yep.
over. You may be the most.
If Comeback Story was in at the end too, Comeback Story, Come Back Tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Comeback Story got cut off. I do believe. I think it was just the crash thing, which is pretty poetic because
Yeah.
of everything that's kind of going on with our particular program right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Burn the hole!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
How are you? How do you handle it? Let's hear your perspective. How do you handle it all? How do you feel about it all? Like, how do you go about it?
Yeah, I'm muting people at an all-pro level right now.
Hell yeah,
I'm
brother.
muting.
Division One.
But I am. I'm a D1 muter and blocker at this standpoint because I'm on there. I have to be on there. I have to see everything that's going on. You know, like I have to be on the. There's people in the TV and internet world or entertainment world that are like, you can't go on the internet. You know, it'll kill you or whatever. It's like, well, how the fuck do you know what's going on? How do you have?
How do you?
Newspaper.
How do you have any idea?
Those people always blow my mind. I'm like, okay, so you just want me to be
What am I
a
doing?
moron? Like, I'm not going to know anything that's happening in the entire world?
So am I Amish all of a sudden? What? I don't understand. And I'm waiting for the 5 o'clock news to tell me what am I? How do I? So with the way it's all set up, obviously the way the apps are set up, have to be on there, and then like notifications, like there's people that send in really good shit for us to look at.
Yes.
Like for instance, I learned a Luke Littler
Oh,
My
baby.
God.
Oh, baby.
from somebody that sent me a post.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. I don't know if Burnley is thinking about starting a professional dart team over there.
Think about it.
Should.
But I know the first pick that I'll make it.
Yeah.
If I'm Tyler from Dude Perfect or JJ
White.
White, this was to send them to the finals of the World Dart Championship
right.
at the Alexandra Palace in London. This dude's 16 years old over there. An absolute sensation, just beating the hell out of this cross guy who goes triple. Oh, missed a little.
They're
bit.
so good.
Which one is 16 years old?
Right there.
This one.
Purple.
Purple.
Not the one who's
Purple.
completely
That
bald
guy
at
right there?
16.
Boom.
Boom.
That's
I
it.
mean, okay.
He did it. He's done it.
He's 16. That guy's 16 years old. And, you know, whenever you win in front of that rompous crowd, which we are certainly going to be a part of at some point in our life, and then you tell Cross, hey, good game, and Cross wants to suck on your ear a little bit.
Yep.
And then he says, look, this 16-year-old's really good. Hey, look at this guy. He says, and Lillard's like, yeah, let me go see my family at least or something. Keep playing it, please. Keep playing it, please. Keep playing it. He stops him again.
What the?
He stops him again.
What?
Let Littler live, Cross.
Let him live.
Let Littler live, Cross. Okay, so
Did he pat him down?
Be on the list.
Basically, he's trying to grab a hold.
Darts is known for the best
Probably threatened
sportsmanship
him or something.
in all of sports.
I understand the sportsmanship has to be real, but I think what the case is Cross just lost to a 16-year-old in front of everybody, and he was like, I want to let the world know that I have massive respect for him.
Yep.
Just in case you didn't see me sucking on his ear first time. And when he goes to get a round of applause from you guys, I'm going to suck on his ear one more
his tongue
time
in there.
and let him know what's going on. So I think that's what Cross is doing. We appreciate your humility, Cross, but we know that Luke Littler's a dog.
Yeah.
He's only 16, Kai.
Yeah, a lot of people over there are actually saying, like, look at this pudgy little fucker. He's not 16. He's about 35. I see all the fucking facial hair. And to that, I say, fuck off, wanker. Okay? Luke Littler is the best thing that's ever happened to the great nation of London in its entire existence.
London.
That's
England,
disgusting.
London.
It's a great nation.
You
It's a great nation.
You understand what I mean, JJ, AJ, both of you can fuck off, actually. All right? Let this man have a fucking pint when he wins today.
No.
I know he's only 16.
Now, we have a clip. He was asked about not being able to enjoy a pint. Although I think some parts of Europe you could at the age of 16. In England, it's not until 18, apparently. Here is Luke Littler getting interviewed about how he's going to celebrate this massive win, historic win, legendary win.
You can't drink, you can't vote, you can't bet, you can't drive a car yet.
Wow.
How do you celebrate as a 16-year-old when you perform like that on the Ali Pali stage? What are you going to do?
Probably just treat myself to a kebab. get myself some bottles of Coke, bottles of Fanta, and probably treat myself to some more vapes.
So he's getting himself some more vapes. He's going to have a bottle of Fanta, I believe, a Coke, and a kebabs. I believe is what he's going to do. Luke Littler is a weapon.
Yeah, he's a dog. I mean, I said it before. I'm questioning, what kind of vape. Does he Juul? Does he use one of these other things? But it just hit me. I'm just glad that they call them vapes and not what they call them cigs. Thank God that they're at least transitioning into the next era of smoking in the right way.
Yeah, he's talking about a nickname for cigarettes over there. There's a lot of different uses of the English language between us and them. I found that out whenever I was with the WWE.